What's up, guys? I know it's been a while since I posted. It's been about a year. I had a lot of things come up. I actually had a couple videos that I had edited, ready to go. I cammed a Corvette, I cammed a Camaro. Did a lot of work on several different vehicles, and I did a lot of work. I've had a lot of things happen with my Colorado, and I have a new addition to the vehicle stable as well, which has been really cool. I'm actually working on it right now because the previous owner royally, I mean, just talk about a hack, and I'll show you a little bit here in a minute. But basically, those videos I had edited up of camming the Camaro and camming the Corvette, nothing went great on that. I had a computer crash, lost all that data. I kind of got disheartened. Then I got sidetracked with work, and you know how life goes. But you know, I figure since it's winter time, I'll be working on both my projects now. Figured I'd kind of post an update video. So here I am, and I'll kind of give you a rundown here of what I got going on. Behind me is the ever so famous Colorado. I don't know if any of you saw the video that I posted. It was on 1320. I mean, it went totally viral with that truck right there. It was pretty awesome. I did a burnout next to a cop. I wouldn't suggest this, but in my defense, I didn't see the cop at first. So, my bad. He was really cool. I didn't go to jail. The truck didn't get impounded. Whatever. But long story short, since the last time you guys saw that, it used to have an LS3 and a TR6060. But since then, I blew up the LS3, got very disheartened with the project, I said fuck it, and I got a 5.3 from the junkyard from a real good friend of mine. He's actually my boss now. I switched jobs, but he gave it to me for free. 5.3 aluminum block, 243 heads. It came out of the junkyard. Literally, I got it when I found it. It was upside down in the pile, and I brought it home, pulled the heads off. It had a couple of bad DOD lifters because of the DOD garbage. So I stole the lifters out of my LS3, put them in that 5.3. I had a set of Chinese head studs laying around, so I used those, put it back, I put it together, stuck an LS2 cam in it, just from the Corvette that I cammed. I had it sitting here still, and had it tuned, and I ended up putting the automatic back in it, the 4L60, did some upgrades on that, bought a transmission from a GTO guy who had a real heavily built 4L65 that he had broken, and I stole all the good parts out of it, put it in mine. The thing really actually held up really well. And I ran a 13.7 at 100 miles an hour with a stock 5.3 that I paid nothing for. I had like $80 into the head gaskets in it. Then I decided that I needed more power because, you know, obviously. But a 13.7 at 100, I was more than impressed. The truck weighs 4,000 pounds with the 4L60 and the 5.3 in it. Well, I was stumbling around my garage, and I found a cam that came out of a buddy's blown up 6-liter GTO, like literally scattered it across the highway and really kind of fucked up the cam. But I was looking at it, and it didn't take any material away from the cam. It just kind of gnarred it up. So I ended up taking some really fine sandpaper, and polishing it down and buffing it and kind of getting that lobe to look good again. Measured it all. The cam's still measured within, you know, 1,000th or 3,000ths of each lobe in between or whatever. And I said, to hell with it. I paid nothing for this engine. I got like $80 into the head gaskets. What's the worst that happens? Ruin a cam? A couple of lifters? I can deal with that. So I stabbed this cam into this thing, used the hardened push rods from the LS3 build, and then a buddy of mine just rebuilt his LS3 Camaro, and I kind of explained the deal to him that I literally have no money into this setup, and now he gave me his used dual valve springs that have 25,000 miles on them, which I would not suggest using them, but I wanted to keep the theme for free, and I had to purchase a couple of things in here and there, so I'm probably a couple $100 deep. But the reality of the situation is I now have this 4L60. The 4L60 is going to need some work because as soon as I put the cam in it, it didn't want to do its job anymore. So it shit the bed. And but anyhow, I don't know how much power it makes, but I can tell you it is ridiculously fast. Compared to what it was before, it definitely, it's like I bolted on 100 horsepower, and it rips. Oh, and along with the built transmission I got, it actually has a 3200 stall converter too. So, and the cam that's in it is a BTR Stage 4 cam. So, it's kind of a big donkey dick cam for a 5.3, but it works well. And I haven't really driven it much since I put the cam in it because I got sidetracked. And that leads me into my next thing is I actually bought a new project. I flew to Albuquerque, New Mexico. I saw it on Facebook. I instantly wanted it. I called the bank. They gave me the go-ahead. And I just had to have it. And my wife, the plan was to sell that. I'll get to that in a minute. But so what ended up happening was I flew to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I bought a 2015 GMC Sierra. Great looking little truck. Let's see if I can get it in one view here. Great looking, regular cab, short box. But what really drew me in, it is a 2015, has about 90,000 miles on it. What really drew me in was that it's boosted. And I don't know much about these LT motors, so I thought, man, this would be really cool to get into this, learn about it, and really just kind of dig in. But what I didn't realize is it looked great in pictures. When I got down there, I was very, very frustrated that it ran like shit. And this guy, I planned on driving it home. And this guy told me, yeah, if you can find E85, you can drive it home. Then I drive no more than a mile away from his house. The thing's shaking like a banshee. Luckily, when I got it, it came with 2 sets of wheels. So with that, I got these drag radials, Ford Star 17s, 15s, with the 24s that are on it. Those. And they look great. But I realized, I pulled into a Walmart and realized 2 of the tires were so fucking annihilated that I couldn't even believe it. It was, how did he expect me to drive it home? I don't know. Anyway, I was frustrated, but I was like, to hell with it. I went into the Walmart, spent like $80, bought a cheap floor jack and a 4-way, came out, swapped the front tires to the back, put the front runners from my drag setup on it, and I hit the road. It was like midnight in Albuquerque. Hit the road. I drove this thing 1,200 miles home. It ran like shit the entire way. And I had to find E85 along the way. I can't believe I made it because when I got home, I found that the turbo down here, I don't know if you can see where this pipe is, was literally broken so bad I could grab the turbo and make the air filter swing around and hit the frame rail. It was barely connected. So I was literally driving it home. There's no oxygen sensors in it, so it's running on just default maps. So it's just pumping fuel into it, and I can't believe it didn't blow up on the way home, honestly, because the oil that came out of this was like water. It's just been a mess. I've done a lot of things since I got it. I added a wideband O2 sensor to it so that I could, monitor it. I switched it back to pump gas because when it was on E, it would lean itself out really, really bad. I can't believe the guy never blew it up. I added a boost gauge and a boost controller. The wastegate's broken, so I haven't been able to actually control boost at all. So it's just whatever's on spring, which is about 8 or 9 pounds. And she rips. It does go, but it needs a lot of work. It's missing a lot of stuff, but I'm slowly but surely getting there. And what I'm working on here is the guy apparently attempted to do a front end conversion to a 2500 HD front bumper, but he didn't have any of the correct bracketry to bolt it to the truck. He didn't have the right grill for it, so the grill didn't fit. He didn't, like this is just a for example. So I ended up purchasing a half-ton bumper shortly after I bought this truck. Color matched and everything. It looks good. It's got a little rock, it's rock chipped, but it's gonna be a hell of a lot better than what was on it. And what I realized today when I was working on it was that these brackets that were on there are for this half-ton bumper, which is good for me because that means I don't have to spend $300 on new brackets. But what he had, this is the kind of hackery I'm talking about. This bolt here and this bolt here are the only two bolts that held either side on. There was two bolts on either side. And if you see, there's 6 bolts that hold this one on. So finding the hardware was interesting, but I happened to, one of the new job I took, I happened to run a U-pull yard. I'm a manager out there. And so we had this burnt up 2015 Silverado come in. And so I yanked the bumper off of it thinking that the brackets were gonna work for me because I wasn't aware at the time that the brackets that were still on the truck were still from the half-ton. So I was able to steal the hardware from that, and I'm probably just gonna take this back and put it back in the truck out there so that if somebody else needs, you know, any of this bracketry, they can come pull it off and buy it. But so I've still got a lot of parts to get to put the front end back together the right way. But ultimately, this project's going to be really fun. I plan on camming it, converter. I'm probably going to go through the transmission. The transmission's not acting real healthy. It does some funky stuff. But once I cam it, I don't know how many. Basically, these engines, the way they're run is they run on direct injection. They have a mechanical high pressure fuel pump, and then they have a pump in the tank. Well, he put a Walbro 450 pump in the tank. It was good. I'm glad I ended up having to take the tank out and buy a new fuel pump for it and put a new fuel pump in because he had the wrong type of hose in there. Literally said not for fuel injection use. And it was like super spongy, and I have no idea how long it was in there. But I'm glad I went in there and had to screw with that because I've already dropped the tank. I've already added air shocks to the back of this thing. I've done a lot of work to it, and I've only owned it for about a month. And the exhaust needs finished. It's only finished to about there. So it sounds like an old dump truck. It's not very good at all. But you know, we're getting there. We're working out the kinks. This is what happens when you buy someone else's project. But yeah, I'm trying to think what else I can talk to you guys about. So my plans with this thing are camming it. The cam adds there's these cams and these LT motors have a fuel lobe that adds more fuel to the mechanical side. So when you get a 32% fuel lobe increase, I still have to do some research on this, so I'm sorry if I sound like a total noob to those who do know what I'm talking about. But from what I understand, you put the cam in, and there's something about a lash cap you got to have to the fuel pump. I'll figure all that stuff out before I even take it apart. But I want to put the cam in it mostly because I need more fuel. I need more fuel to be able to turn it up anymore. I'd love to be able to make 10-ish pounds on this setup with a stock L83 5.3 and just see where that gets us. I'd love to be able to run 12s with this truck and be daily drivable, air conditioning, and who knows. I haven't really fell in love with this truck yet like I have the Colorado. Colorado's not going anywhere. The Sierra, I haven't really decided. I really like this truck, but at the same time, it's not as good as that. So that's kind of, and I'm sorry for the shitty, kind of cell phone video, but I didn't have my GoPro, and I'm sitting here, thought I'd film this video. So that's just kind of I know I've been rambling for about 15 minutes here, but that's just kind of where we're at on things. And hopefully I'll be a little better about filming what I'm doing, and you know, bringing you guys along for the ride. And I appreciate anybody who actually watches this crap, you know. But you know, sometimes I just kind of like documenting. I actually really enjoy recording the videos. So maybe I'm probably gonna get the front end put back together here. I'm not gonna film it because I don't have my GoPro on me, but I thought, man, I'm here, we'll just make this update. So I will hopefully have another video up here in the next week or so. So thanks for watching, and you know, we'll see you in the next one.